My name is Dawn Christian, and I am the CEO and founder of Belong by Dawn Christian. We are a consultancy and executive coaching firm that teaches belonging as a leadership competency. We really upskill on what it is, not only as a sentiment, but as a skill to enact and to claim and create spaces for belonging in workspaces and in organizations.
My name is Dr. Tina Opie. I am a tenured professor at Babson College, where I teach in the management division. I specialize in organizational behavior, which for some, it's really the combination of business and psychology. So why do people do the crazy things they do at work is what I like, how I like to think about it. I teach entrepreneurship, negotiations, the foundations of management and entrepreneurship. I am an author. I've written a book called Shared Sisterhood, which is about helping people come together to dismantle inequities in the workplace.
For anyone watching who's currently at a job, in a career, at a workplace where they don't feel like they belong, it's easy to say walk away, but of course, that's not always feasible based on a lot of different socioeconomic and personal factors. So, for anyone who's feeling that lack of belonging, what is the one tool in your toolbox to lend to that person to help them start feeling like they do belong?
I think the tool in my toolbox is know yourself and know that you deserve to belong in the spaces that you are qualified to be in. And those qualifications come in different packages, right? Transferable skill sets. They come in the way that you show up, the way you inspire others. And just know that the space that you're in right now is one of the spaces that you will be in, and there are lessons in that setting that you're in that you can then take as a lived experience, as either a litmus test of what you no longer need or what you are aspired to then go do. But know that you as a human do belong, and there are spaces that are or more suited for you. And when you're ready, when you are ready to make that move, you are in command of being able to make that move. No judgment. We're the hardest on ourselves, right? So, give yourself tons of grace for taking the time, but also give yourself the credit for acknowledging that this might not be it. And that in itself is a tool. I think one of the things that is important for folks to know is that the practice of belonging does not only belong to the marginalized. It is not just something that, it oftentimes in DEI and DEIB, it's like, oh, for them, right? For this to work, for this to really be something that transforms and reimagines spaces, belonging is a competency that belongs to every human.
Something that was very helpful for me is recognizing that work is not necessarily designed always to provide that sense of belonging. I know that sounds horrible, but I have different domains that provide different things for me. In a best case scenario, optimally, I do have a strong sense of belonging at every workplace, but there have been some instances where that's not the case, which then made it more important that I have deep roots at my church, that I really have close relationships with my girlfriends and with my husband. And I know that that may sound like a cop out, but in some instances, that may be necessary. The other thing that I do is I try to find the organization is huge, it's not a monolith. There may be some teams or some divisions where you have a stronger sense of belonging at that organization. So can you identify some people, some team members where you have more authentic connection? We talk about that in shared sisterhood. So you might be thinking about this overall sense of belonging, but can you focus on just creating deeper, authentic connections and interpersonal relationships with certain people? So maybe you don't have a strong sense of belonging with the organization, but you have these interpersonal connections that are very meaningful that can help you stomach the organization as you work through to that stronger sense of belonging in the organization. The final thing I'll say is that sometimes as you're working through, you may find a solution that can help you get to that belonging. Sometimes you might not. And so these things may be temporary and eventually you'll get to a stronger sense of belonging. You may have to accept sometimes that you won't. And work is not always friendships and roses and bubbles. It's just not. And hopefully it can get to that point in some instances, but sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay too.